Hi, I'm Gurcharan Roopra, a wildlife photographer. Nikon shared the new D6 with me over the last few weeks. I persevered the tough conditions to make the most of my time with it in Nairobi National Park. When photographing flying birds, it's clear to see the tracking maintains focus lock, working seamlessly through the distracting foreground. I tested it on my buggy and got a very different perspective on buffaloes with it. The new onboard GPS sensor gives me a fresh avenue to research my subject's whereabouts. Having a camera with such performance gives you the ability to be creative at the speed of your thoughts. A prime example is the solar eclipse.
So welcome everybody to the Sikh Coach podcast. We thought we'd start off the episode with a completely different style this time. And if you're watching the video, you would have seen the visuals. And our special guest today is Gurcharan Roopra. Welcome to the podcast.
Sashkal, thanks, Faji. Nice to be here. Thank you.
It's I've been really eagerly waiting and sort of anticipating our conversation, just because I think there's just so much that we can learn from you and the talents that you have. It'd be really, really amazing to learn more about your life as well. So yeah, welcome to the podcast. How are you today? You're in Nairobi.
Hanji, we are in looking outside, sunny, cloudy Nairobi, beautiful. We are in our winter because we're on the other end from you guys. So we are, and our winter on a cold morning, it'll be about 17, well, maybe not. Sometimes we can get to around 15, 12, but during the day will be a beautiful 23 every day. So no complaints.
You're accustomed to the British weather, so that's kind of like summer for us.
when I tell me about it. When I moved back around this time of the year in August, and I would drive to work in the morning, and everyone would be wearing gloves and scarves, and here I am saying, "This is summer, guys."
Exactly. Yeah, we've been fortunate at the moment. We've had quite a few like warm days. Yesterday was the warmest so far in the year, like 30. I think it hit 34. So that's been quite warm for us. And yeah, so brilliant. So it's great to have you on the show. So I guess it'd be good to start with just a brief introduction. I think people seeing the video would have realized you're a wildlife photographer, but I guess that's not the only thing you do. So it'd be good to just learn a little bit about what you do and yeah.
Yes, the wildlife photography is the weekend hobby. It's what keeps me sane from the daily insane activities. I studied a bachelor's of engineering in university in the UK. From that, I moved back to Kenya. And those days, the economy was really, really poor. And
Okay.
to try and keep afloat and try and get things flowing in the pocket, I moved to the UK, where I spent the next 10 years until 2012. In the UK, I worked under a couple of broadband companies who used to do satellite broadband. From that, I moved across into construction, where I was a project manager, which was the larger part of my life in the UK. I was a project manager for a construction company, and we built hospitals, and I was in the joinery side. So hospitals like UCLH in London, Peterborough Hospital, Derby City, the super hospital in Derby City, and also Southern General in Glasgow. So I was involved in these projects.
Wow.
I think I got tired of the moving to a new site all the time sort of life, and I moved back to Kenya because I'm originally from Kenya. And here we started off, we had a business that we had started a while ago, and I came to join it, which was a company providing construction equipment. And we took on the dealership for Hitachi, earth moving equipment, all over. It started off with Kenya only, but now we've got all of East Africa, so Tanzania and Uganda.
Wow.
And then this is what keeps me sane over the weekends, as you say.
This is your side passion almost.
Yeah, this is a side passion, to be honest with you.
Wow. So you actually grew up in Nairobi then, as a youngster.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, after experience the UK, you would have seen a complete different a lifestyle. So how was it growing up in Nairobi?
I think, I didn't realize it at that point, but later on in life, we came from a place, a third world country, where not everything was available. Like you come into the UK and you want anything, and the most it'll take you is 2 or 3 days. You'll have it at your doorstep, delivered, whatever you want. With Kenya, that wasn't the case. So if you wanted something and it broke down, you're not going to get a replacement tomorrow. So you had to find a way to fix it. And that every day mucking around, finding ways, makes you, in Africa, in Swahili, it's called fundi, like a little technician. You're always building or repairing something. And I think that was a skill in life that when I did come to the UK, it was really honored by a lot of people I worked with, where if you find a way to solve the problem. It's not like, okay, this is not my job criteria and I'm not doing it. That's the usual factor you find a lot of times, that, oh, this is not my job description, I'm not interested. Whereas, I would find a way to, let's find a way to fix it. And that finding a way to fix it, or finding a way to have ownership and resolve it, is probably the biggest reason for my success in the UK.
Wow. It's almost like the Indian concept of jugaad, where you're like,
exactly.
You find innovation, isn't it? It's like, it's how do you think outside of the box? How do you think of other ways of doing things? How do you, I used to love as a child breaking things and putting them back together and stuff. And it's a different mindset. But I guess I'd never sort of thought about it from a perspective of how a country or a place, because it was not as prosperous and not the availability of certain things, compared to, and I think that's the difference in, I guess, diversity. Really, it's what you get from different backgrounds and people coming through, and putting that into the mix. So I guess so you used a lot of that. Was that mainly in the construction bit all throughout your whole career?
Throughout my whole career. So it's normally. Many people like to say, okay, my job description is punching numbers into a computer, for example. And when someone says to you, "Ooh, the computer's broke down," you say, "Not my problem, that's IT's problem." Yeah, whereas I would come out and say, "Wait a minute, guys, I've got a problem with my computer. Let me see how I can solve it." And I would find a way to solve it and say, "Done, I'm punching in numbers again." Yeah. One thing leads to another, and suddenly it's like, "Hey, wait a minute, Guch is a bit handy with computers. Guch, why don't you come and have a look at this for us?" And it makes you more busier. And I know you do things that you're not earning money for, but that's short-term thinking. Yeah. Over the long term, I left the UK where I was earning a 6-figure salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
No,
I left the
so-
UK. So should I be rolling my eyes now?
you regret it now.
Not at all, to be honest, but
I think money is a byproduct of value, isn't it? So
yes.
you create value, you get, it's a byproduct of that. And I think that's so important to understand, actually, is short-term thinking versus long-term thinking, where, you know, it's short-term pain for long-term gain, where you through the hardship, you're learning something, but then you become more valuable in the longer term, but you don't realize it, because it's only when you look back, don't you? You think, yeah, if I didn't attempt these things, I wouldn't have become proficient in them.
Yeah, and you know, I really give a lot of thanks to the bringing up of my parents, where, you know, it wasn't that sort of factor saying, oh, don't worry, we'll get someone to fix this. It'd be like left with you. You want it, find a way to fix it. If you don't want it, that's the end of it. Yeah, and I think that bringing up, and you know, these sort of remote control toys that we used to have, and if they broke down, sorry mate, that's the only money I had. You either find a way to fix it yourself, or let me give you a hand, or that's the end of it. You're just gonna have to ride your bicycle all day long then. Yeah, and you know, a bicycle's broken down, you need to fix it. And
Yes.
those sort of small should I say trainings, or it's not really trainings, it's just having, you don't realize it as you're growing up. You just sort of think, oh, my bike's broken, I need to find something to do with it. But those little things are where today I am mucking around with all these sort of devices. I'm highly known for shooting extreme low level, close range, or shooting above from a helicopter, aerial photography, and it's just all about mucking around and trying to find a way.
Yeah. So it's great to see that you can link it. You can link it back to childhood. You know,
Exactly.
you see the theme. You're like, yeah, if I did that. So, and I think that's important, because a lot of people don't understand it, you know, how do you create growth opportunities, and that isn't necessarily given the best educational platform or the most amount of gifts or, you know, facilities and stuff. It's actually about how do you incorporate those growth activities in daily life, and some of those things you won't realize, but if you don't appreciate all the things you get, and you know, if you break something, you won't appreciate, oh, I need to look after it and not make it break. And if it breaks, I need to at least attempt to make, you know, otherwise a lot of parents can get into the problem, oh, it's broken, we'll get you another one, you know, we'll get you another one. But it's a lesson that they've missed in that process. I think that's really, really important. So you did your 10 year, you did your 10 years in the UK, and you decided to come back. So what was the main reason to come back? Was it to join the family business, or?
Yes, it was to join the family business, where I came back, to be honest with you, not knowing what to expect.
Okay.
And yeah, the nice part is now you work for yourself in the nicest of ways.
Yes.
Working for yourself has its challenges, because you're the only one who's going to sort it out. No one else is going to sort it out for you. And unless you you have to push, or you have to ask for it, you have to get it sort of solved in some way or the other. And if no one else can solve it, unfortunately, it's only you who's going to solve it. But besides that, you know, I think the best part about moving back was moving back to Africa, moving back to Kenya. And it did initially give me a lot more free time. And I've utilized that free time by, you can see how. Yeah, I think that's very, very clear on how I've utilized that free time. And whereas, you know, when I was working in the UK, I was out at 6 o'clock every morning. I never used to get home till 7 o'clock in the evening. And, you know, those 12, 13-hour days, then all the other stuff gets left for the weekend. And on the weekend, you're busy. I've got to wash my car. I've got to make sure that mess I made, you've got to clean our house, or whatever the case is. That sort of time that I received back in living in Africa is what I utilized for. And it's, I think that's probably one of the most beautiful things about Africa, is the beauty in the landscape, the beauty of available time. But if you don't have the money, that available time can also be painful.
Yes, I can imagine. So was it quite easy then to leave the UK and go back to your home effectively? Or were there things that you were used to or missing, or?
You know, the biggest miss is the tech, you know, everything in the UK, the functions, how traffic functions, how everything, you know, it kind of feels like that's so when you come to Africa, you realize how important the traffic light is. You
Yes.
don't realize it sitting in the UK, but you come to Africa, you understand how important a simple thing like street lighting, traffic lights, potholes on the roads, you know what I mean? Power, just simple stuff like you get power every day without a hiccup. And here, you know, we've got to be putting in generators, we've got to put backup power, we've got to put voltage stabilizers and all that sort of stuff. So those very, very simple things that we get so used to, and we assume that this is just something that is so, it's so standard in life that it's going to come no matter what, is not the case when you come to Africa. And those sort of things is what you have to work hard with living with. But you then find this fact of, let's go out camping, and you realize, oh, wait a minute, power is not important.
Yes.
You know, you sit there at night and you're sitting at the darkest of nights, but you look up and you're sitting under a sky full of stars, and you're listening to these crickets and hyenas and lions roaring in the background. And that is life. That is when I felt that, yes, I've come to the place I want to be. Yeah.
Wow. And I think you're so right about, we get used to what we have here and we take advantage of it. You know, if we get a power cut for an hour in a year, that's like devastating. Or if the internet connection falls off, we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I guess like going to, I know when I've been to India, you come back and you do appreciate these things and the system's been put in place, and you come back, but you soon forget about it again. But it's like you say, there's always a balance. So when you're in countries like Africa or India, it's the other parts that you wouldn't get here. You know, the culture, the roots, the richness, the nature, and that part of it. So I can understand that the pros of going back to Nairobi. I mean, people go there for, you know, tourists and holidays and stuff, you know, so why not live there and be proud?
I was doing a workshop yesterday morning in Nairobi National Park, and I was with this very nice elderly Uncle G, and you know, we had gone out and he wanted to learn about photography, and we were talking about it, and he then started talking about a project that he's involved in where one lady came in because her son's quite into running, and you know, Kenyans are known for marathon, long distance running, and she had brought her son to this training camp up on the high altitude training camp that we use. I believe even Mo Farah and most of the UK runners have used this training camp as well.
Yes.
And she had brought her son to this training camp, and she got bored there after a couple of days and decided to take an excursion out to Masai Mara. The love became so much that now she has 2 properties she owns within the Masai Mara. One's a piece of land and she wants to build it up. So the question was saying, Guch, do you know this and that? And how would you get around with trying to build in the Mara? And I was like, ooh, that'd be a project I might be interested in.
A perfect combination of construction and all the
exactly, yeah.
things you have, really. It's amazing. So I think we're touching slowly into the wildlife photography part. So were you always interested in photography, or was it something you really just picked up when you went back to Nairobi?
I had a little interest. I mean, my first proper camera was, I used to borrow it from my uncle. And this was probably in a lot of my, should I say, into my teens. And, you know, Kenya was always a big scene for rally. And, you know, we've got our world famous Singh from Kenya. And, you know, Kenya was a massive rally scene. And that brought me into rallying. And somehow or the other, photography followed into it, but it wasn't ever serious. I moved back into the UK. I moved to the UK. I think I bought my first camera in maybe around 2006.
Okay.
I came for a trip to Kenya. I hired a lens. I went into Masai Mara for 2 nights, and I came back with shots that I couldn't believe I could achieve.
Okay.
And I think just that 1 or 2 things put together made me pursue. But it was a busy working life in the UK, and I didn't really have time to have the camera with me all the time.
Yes.
In 2009, my son was born, and the camera took an even bigger perspective at that point, where I would charge it and then I'd keep it on the table. When he does something funny or he does something, I've captured the moment. And that capturing the moment, I began to understand composition from those sort of days, saying, you know, you ask yourself a question saying, why is this photo better than the other? And that composition factor comes in. That sort of went on. When I was moving back to Kenya, I had a general idea of what I wanted. I wanted to come back into Kenya. I missed wildlife. I wanted to get more involved into wildlife photography.
Okay.
I brought a lot of equipment with me, only to realize that I'd make major mistakes in buying this equipment because it's not the right stuff for Africa, and it's not really the quality stuff. I went for cheap is best, and let's get this, it works. Only to come here to realize that that's not entirely the game. And over the last 8 years, that has been the challenge, or moving to better gear. And luckily enough, I have been able to get the better gear. And then you get all the gear and you suddenly sit down and say, but the photos are still not coming. What's going on? Yeah, this is now a pro camera, a pro lens. Why am I not achieving? And you sit down and you sit and have those difficult conversations with yourself. Yeah, I talk to myself sometimes, yes. but those conversations is the reason I am where I am today, because I'm asking myself, saying, I have the gear. How can I get the photos now? And then you start getting the photos, then the conversation moves to, all right, now I'm getting the photos. How can I take it to a notch further and a notch further and a notch further? And again, there is no easy way to say this, but I'm not, thankfully, I wear a pug. Otherwise, I'm bald for a reason. It's that constant, pulling hair, scratching your head, working out, saying, why did this not work? And I need to make it work again.
So did you self-teach yourself, or did you have like a community you engage with, or did you go on any sort of teaching to understand more about photography?
Reading on the internet, reading blogs from other photographers who I hold highly, and I still hold highly, and just mucking around. I got stuck with something. You met a friend. He gave you a helping hand, saying, hey, Guch, this is the mistake, or this is how I do it, or this is the mistake I feel you're making. You go and you try working with that. And it's just been an evolution of make mistakes, try another way around it, solved. Make mistakes, I need to nail it. And when you could have had one of the best shots in the world and then you make a mistake, there's no better way to teach you a lesson, and you'll make sure you never make that mistake again.
Yeah, for sure. You never get. And we see this thing in the business world, do, learn, and then sort of do the process again. So you're constantly improving. And I think that we get taught. I'm doing an MBA at the moment, and plan, do, and learn model is always repeated. But it applies to every single part of life, isn't it? So it applies to your hobbies, it applies to how you do things at home, at work, etc. But it's just a constantly, and I think within our faith, especially, we're students, we call Sikhs. So we're meant to constantly be learning and reviewing and reflecting and improving, and not just doing it for ourselves, but society as well. So it's like it's so important to reflect and then make a change, so that going forward you're more informed, and it's a continuous process.
100% in agreement with you there. It's always about learning, but sometimes we move ourselves away from the bigger picture and look into the smaller picture of ourselves.
Yes.
And that's my next journey is now about, less about myself and more about the environment and the animals who don't speak, and we need to speak on their behalf. So that's where my journey seems to be going. Yes. But, you mentioned Sikhism in this, and one of my friends is an amazing photographer, and he had traveled to India to meet a couple of his friends. He's not Kenyan, and he traveled to India to meet a couple of friends because he wanted to do some tiger safaris and things like that. And while he was there in India, he met a couple of local Indian photographers and stuff, and the conversation carried on. And they sort of said, who do you think is the best photographer in Kenya? And he sort of said, look, I believe Gurcharan is, and they believed another one was, and I don't want to mention any names or anything like that. And they sort of said, but I thought this other guy was. And he goes, look, let's not try and do this over conversation. Let's go through and check out both of these guys at their photos, and then we decide who it is. And they looked through the photos, and after that, they sort of came across and said, I don't know what it is about Sikhism. It's something about the teachings of Sikhism that allows open-mindedness, allows you to pursue yourself as an individual along with a community, whereas rather than being a follower on its own, you get this openness in your mind. And this openness in your mind allows you to be creative and get this artwork. Or a lot of Sikhs you find that very good with their hands, very good in engineering. You know what I mean? And I believe it's something to do with the bigger picture that we don't see, is the teachings, what we get learned, what we get taught, and how all this Sikhism follows down into our heads, and how it comes in, and it has something to do with that. Yes. I've not gone down to the bottom of it. I haven't gone into that detail, but I'm sure somebody will explain to us sooner or later.
Yeah, and I think there is and I resonate with that. There's a deepness to it. Just being, just listening to the examples of history and the gurus, and the ethos. And I one of the episodes I did earlier was actually to talk about the lesser known things that we don't look at what the gurus did. We always think of the usual stuff around seva, being selfless service and meditation and stuff. But actually, if you look, they created infrastructure, they were project managers, they were social reformers, they were innovators. They created cities and business centers and, roads and everything. So if you think about it, it's much more than it's a whole social revolution, but there's so many hats we can wear in different ways, and sort of take that inspiration and be free to feel like we can make a difference. And that's an important part.
Totally agree with you. And making a difference might not be being so noble, because don't forget, it takes so many gears for one big wheel to turn. Exactly. And even if you're one of those gears, that's such an important activity. If that gear is broken, that activity breaks down. And you just need to find a way where you can do something, yes, for yourself, of course, because without food on your table, it's going nowhere. Mm-hmm. And you need to get that food on your table first, and find a way to make sure that food then dwindles down to your family and everyone there gets it. And then we have these amazing gurdwaras where we go and we do seva. And a lot of us, we'll go there, we'll listen, and then we'll eat, and we'll come home. But no, spend some more time, spend some time in the kitchen, spend some time washing the pande, spend some time, giving the food out, that, yes. All that, giving the langar out, it's all part of seva. And when you do seva, the benefits come, I believe, a lot more larger than we foresee. And we don't realize, sometimes we sit down and we say, look what I've done, I've achieved this, but there's a gear at the back there that's working that we are not reading and we're not looking at. Yeah.
Definitely. Brilliant. So I guess so at the moment then, are you still doing this as a weekend thing, or is it kind of growing and evolving into something much more bigger? And are you finding it difficult now to manage?
the balance is difficult, yes, because the thing is, you find that you can suddenly achieve something. But what I'm trying to do is, yes, I have the balance where I am still working 5.5 days a week, but that 1.5 day at the back, one day I use to chill with family. Sundays I'm chilling out. We're not going to do much. We're going to relax. If it means I'm going to sit around doing nothing all day long, so be it. But yes, I do spend at the moment one Saturday afternoon every week in Nairobi National Park. When the opportunity comes, we've got a bank holiday weekend or some long weekend, then yes, I will disappear to any location that I can find or something that interests me.
Yes.
And sort of Christmas time, when usually businesses tend to slow down and everything becomes a bit more quiet, it gets even more slower in Africa. Okay. That is the time where I'll sort of take more time, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks out, and then go and spend that photographing in Mara, photographing in Amboseli. We had this Eid holiday weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't foresee it and I didn't plan anything. But I've spent this weekend, I'm working with a lot of, I'm going to a trip to Laikipia next weekend.
Okay.
and I'm going to be working with rhinos, and I'm trying to find a way where I can do things differently. I mean, I've already done things a lot differently than many other photographers out there, but I still want to keep pushing and keep trying to achieve something different. Because, hey, I'm one of those guys where when you keep doing the same thing over and over, it gets boring and you get tired and you don't want to do it. You want to sort of find another way now. And that's what I'm trying to, constantly, how am I going to change, improve? And, no matter how much expertise you have in something, you cannot know everything. You still, like we say, we're always learning, and we're learning every single day. And I honestly foresee that.
Yeah, I see the rhino picture in the background. So I guess that was an amazing shot. So how close are you to Nairobi National Park?
My office to the entrance of Nairobi National Park is 2 kilometers.
Oh wow, so very close. So is that where
and
majority of your shootings?
Yes, majority of my shootings are in Nairobi National Park. But not only saying that it's 2 kilometers, it's literally the back of my office is the park, and the entrance is 2 kilometers away. So if I could find a hole in the fence, I could walk through, and there I am.
Just dig a tunnel under the fence or something.
Literally, I just dig a tunnel big enough for my car to go through, and boom, there I am.
So what kind of animals can we expect to see in Nairobi National Park?
You can see everything with the exception of elephants. So what we call the big five. And in the exception of the big five is the elephants. Yeah, they can be destructive to a city because that's not what nature designed them to be. But we can get lions, leopards, we can get buffaloes, we can get rhinos. So it's all there other than elephants.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly, it is. It really is. And the factor of coming out of this hustle and bustle of a busy city and then going into the wild where suddenly you're not in control of your own destiny. It literally is the animals are controlling your destiny, and that would. And another thing that you grow up or being a wildlife photographer, if you want to get better at photography, you have to get better at understanding nature. If a bird's calling out vigorously, it's like, okay, guys, what's going on? Why is that bird calling out? Let me go and investigate. And suddenly you find out that the bird's seen a lion and that's why it's calling out. And, nature can't talk, but nature gives you signs that you have to learn how to read. And once you learn how to read those signs, everything becomes so much more simpler. And should I say, the formula starts adding up. And that's what's so beautiful about it. When you can find a way to make that formula work and you say, ooh, I worked out, look at those zebras. They all seem to be paying attention in one direction. And then you look into that one direction and you see a lion and you say, wow, I found that for myself. That was fun. I'm going to do this more and more. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like you're working with, like, normally photographers or whoever will be working with actors or humans and stuff, but you're working with actors that can't speak and tell, but you got to work out what their body language is saying, what the noises are saying, what the herd is doing, and you're effectively analyzing all the situation in the same way that the animal kingdom is, aren't you? You're trying to perceive that, and then when you do that, you're in probably the best strategic place to then capture something really beautiful.
You couldn't have said it any better. That's literally exactly, you try and keep putting this formula together and you say, which is the best position to be for the best shot. And the other day, my nephew wanted to drive around. So I was like, okay, you come with me, you drive the car and I'll sit as the passenger. And we got to this point where I saw these few ostriches walking and I was like, stop the car. There's going to be an ostrich fight right now. And he looks around and he says, how did you work that out? And 2 minutes later, we find two ostriches chasing each other down, in the plains. And he's like, Chachaji, how did you work that one out?
I think you need to put that on your CV. You can figure out when it's going to go down for ostriches. Quite nice.
Writing it right now.
Forget about UFC. You want to see this?
Literally. And I think the major reason behind it is it's this love of photography. And this love of photography has made it into a position where I'm trying to push myself to understand even more so that I can get the best shot,
Yes.
if that's the right way of putting it.
Yeah. And then we were talking just before recording this episode when I said I mentioned you're a professional wildlife photographer, but you were like, it's a hobby. But I think this is where I was trying to explain that actually, the perception is a profession is somebody who's paid for, done the qualification or his expertise on paper. But obviously they're producing goods as well. But then somebody who's doing it from passion like you are, you can clearly see the intricate detail and the knowledge you're learning just to become better at capturing these moments, and in a different way. You are a professional because you're pushing the standards, beyond, because it's not a job for you. This is like, you can clearly see it's a passion, you want to do this, and it's something that you're going to continue doing, and you're pushing your own boundaries. And that's regardless. You can see other people's work for inspiration, see what they're doing and the creativity, but you're not in a game to beat somebody. So it's not competition, but you're self competition, isn't it? So you want to keep leveling up.
Exactly. When I moved to Kenya and I started photography and I started getting better, suddenly I realized that I put myself into a very competitive world. And the competition was about, okay, I can't seem to get better shots than him, but let me find a way that I can put him down so I can keep myself high, or keep myself at that level while I put this guy down. And I realized that at a very earlier part of this journey of mine. And I said to myself, saying, look, I'm not here to compete with him. I think the bigger factor for me was the look of an outsider, because I was the guy who came in from UK and started photographing in another guy's stuff, should I say. It's not officially his stuff, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I came into his stuff, trying to photograph in his stuff, and now I'm trying to get better than him, but this guy doesn't like it, so he's finding ways to put me down.
Yes.
But I just kept that factor of, look, it's your turf, you hold on to it. I don't want to be in this quarrel. I want to take myself. I'm here for myself. I'm here to beat myself. That is my competition, and that's where I want to go with it. And I'm going to use everyone else. I've got, I know these big photographers that I used to look up to. And these days they message me saying, we're passing through the country. Do you want to meet up? You know what I mean? And I'll look at that and I'll sit down with them and I'll say, you guys, you are my inspiration to photography. And they'll be like, but your work is so amazing. But I was like, I grew up looking at your work. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you are my inspiration. And the people I've looked up to and I've seen their work and I'm like, mind blown. And how do these guys achieve this? And now these guys message me saying, look at that shot of yours. I love it. Look at this. I love it. And you'll be like, this is your shot is the inspiration. So it's beautiful to also look at it that way. But yes, be very careful in trying not to get into that, okay, I'm better than you and I'll always be better than you. No, you fight. This is a war within myself. And it's about me. I've achieved this. What am I doing next? It's not about doing the same thing over and over for me.
Exactly. And I think that's the importance, is knowing you believing in your own talent. Once you discover something that you're really passionate about, it's in you to then see how far you can take that, because that's something that you've been given to deliver to the world effectively. I think it's lucky to find that. And then once you found it, I think it's really important to then work on your individual expression of that. You can't compare that to somebody else. You see what I mean? Because that's their individual expression of it. And what you will think of will be completely different to what somebody else has been thinking of, because your upbringing, your influences and everything else will be completely different.
100%. This is an art, and everyone can be subjective of their point of view.
Yes.
They can't be subjective of what you are trying to do. And that's what I tell a lot of guys these days is, yeah, it's fine. You enjoy my work, but you enjoy something in particular within your own mind. Why don't you pursue that? I can't sort of say to you saying, no, you must do exactly like I've done. When you do exactly like I've done, all you're going to be is a copy of me. And that's not what we're looking for. Yeah, that's not what you are looking for. You don't want to be a little Gurch in any way whatsoever. You want to be, I am A and I am B and I am C, and pursue that. And the tools that you need or the help that you need, I'm here for you. You need any help, come talk to me and I'll give you a directional note. You
Yes.
want to do photography? I have mentored in the past, but what I find with mentoring is people tend to be very much, they learn they follow your style. And
Yes.
I'm trying to move away from the mentoring to say, wait a minute, guys, you need some tools at this moment. Let's have a workshop. Let me give you those tools.
Okay.
Go out there, work on it yourself. When you get to a stage where you find you're stuck again, I'm always going to be here for you. Welcome, come, let's talk, let's review it. But you need to be on your own journey. You need to make your journey happen because that's the only way it's going to develop. Yeah.
And I think I see this as well, because it's very hard to teach this bit, which is actually not you can signpost, but the job is the individuals to work within themselves and figure out what like they like doing and their style. You can teach them a style, but it won't be their style. But it's such a difficult thing to teach. And I think very few people grasp it. But if you grasp it, you realize actually the work is more for you to do the work and then come back and get guidance, and come back get guidance if you need it as and when you need it. So I can imagine. So do you do a lot of workshops then at the moment, or is it mainly focused around the tools required and sort of technical, or is it how do you structure them?
As much as a technical part of photography is important, because I believe that the camera is your technical craft side of thing, but your eye and the photo is seen as art.
Yes.
And I do a lot of, I have done mentoring. I have now do a lot of workshops under Nikon's umbrella. I go on behalf of Nikon. So Nikon will make an arrangement saying, Guch, we want you to go to Oman. Your contact in Oman will be this guy. He'll pick you up from the airport. We're going to do a workshop. We have about 100 entrants, so we have 100 people who have signed on to this workshop. We want you to go to Oman. So I've done South Africa, I've done Oman, I've done Qatar, I've done Dubai, and not saying that I'd sit only under Nikon's umbrella. I'm happy to, you want to set up in UK, you want to set up in a different country, I'll be happy to come and be on behalf of that. But the trouble is, me sitting in Kenya, trying to organize something in a different country is very difficult. It'll be easier for me to organize it in Kenya. So it would need somebody local, in this case, Nikon Dubai, who get through their dealers, set the workshops up through their dealers, and then I go and do them. But what I learned is a lot of times when you start doing a lot of technical photography workshops, you tend to find people get muddled and confused, and it becomes too complicated. And then that passion of that person gets washed away because I can't seem to work it out, and then you lose it. Whereas what I'd like to do these days is I go there, I show my shots, I show my journey, and I talk about inspiration. And that inspiration is what I want for the guys, for what his driver has to be. Because if he gets inspired, he moves forward in a very beautiful way that inspires him. Whereas if I teach him technical and then he gets lost and confused, that's it.
Yeah.
He's lost his passion, and I'm the reason. I'm the one to blame. You know what I mean?
The focus comes on settings and equipment and stuff, which is actually just it's almost the infrastructure helping you to get through you're creating your art through this infrastructure, not infrastructure creating your art.
Exactly. What I'm trying to say is, like, guys, they're expensive cameras, and they're expensive for a reason, because they've been built with a lot of electronics that work out and number crunch way faster than me and you will number crunch, or they will number crunch. So let the number crunching happen in the background, and you just work out how you can utilize that number crunching to get you something that inspires you. I mean, the fulfillment I get from this weekend hobby is way more than the fulfillment I get from earning major contracts of work and lots of money. And, sometimes I think to myself saying, is this a time where now I say, let's move into photography full time, because the fulfillment is coming. But then you sort of say, wait a minute, right? How is food going to come onto the table? And then you get stuck again.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think that, so how did the partnership with Nikon come around?
Very simple, to be honest with you. I attended workshops with Nikon. I entered a competition thanks to another Punjabi friend of mine, sent me the link, said, "Good, you must enter this competition."
Okay.
I entered the competition. I end up winning it.
Wow.
From that win, I got closer to Nikon. They started looking at my work. I would attend workshops, they would look at my work, would discuss it further, and step by step, one day, one of the Nikon guys came across saying, "Guch, we've got a top secret launch in Dubai." Or no, Guch, what are you doing this weekend? And I responded back to him saying, "If you want to know what I'm doing this weekend, you have to give me more than that. You can't just sort of say what you're doing this weekend." And then he goes, "We've got a top secret launch in Dubai. We'd like to take you." I was like, "Okay, that's fine. That's enough. I don't need more than that." I'm game. I'm game. We're going. Yeah. And we went up to Dubai. It was the launch of this camera. And this is the first one that came in Kenya. It's the Nikon D850. I went for the launch to Dubai, and while I was in Dubai, the photographer who was launching the camera at that time was a guy called Marcel Van Osten, and his work is phenomenal. He's a guy who Nikon give cameras to, and the cameras are literally still not numbered. They put D000, so nobody knows what he's working. He doesn't know what he's working with. He's got prototypes basically, yeah. Wow. So he's given prototypes, says, "Look, we want you to go out on a project." They discuss, we want a night photography, we want a day photography, we want some sort of, this is what we want. Yes. He would go out and get these jobs done. And then only until the camera has been officially launched is when he finds out what he was working with. And then he sort of, he adds those bits into the video where, oh, the D850 can do this and the D850 can do that. But it was so beautiful to be put across, and I was put on the same table with Marcel, and I was able to have a one-on-one discussion with him. And there's a couple of things that I'm still doing today, which were, "Marcel, I'm struggling with this, but I tried it like this, and I use this, and the reason I want to buy this camera is this." And he goes, "Yeah, that's exactly what I did, and this is exactly what I did. But there's one thing you're missing out, and it's this. Why don't you pick up this and try it again?" And here we are today. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow. So you got those sort of connections with these people that I guess you would have looked up and said, "Wow, these amazing photographers," and you can just send them a message and say, "Right, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think?" They have those discussions as well.
Literally, I've got, I know I keep talking about Marcel, and I've got another photographer who's a very good friend of mine, and he's called Russ Wild, and Russ builds documentaries for Nat Geo and BBC. And I'd come up and I'd message Russ, and we bumped into each other in South Africa, and I was there doing a talk. These guys were there at the expo. The two of us, I recognized the guy, and I went up to him and I was like, "You're Russ, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yes." And I was like, "I'm Gurcharan." And he didn't know who I was. But as soon as we started shuffling through some photos of mine, he goes, "I know you. Oh, I don't know you as a person, but I know your work. I know your photos. Yeah, I've seen these photos." And, we then sort of discussed a few things from there. And now it's a nice enough situation. We're so friendly where I'll message him and I'll say, "Russ, I'm struggling with this," or "Marcel, I'm struggling with this. This is what I was trying to do." And he'd go, "Good, I've tried that and it didn't work, but then I haven't gone back to it, but why don't you try this?" And Russ is a big guy because, I do a lot of, should I say, remote photography now. And these guys, being documentary photographers, do a lot of remote photography where they leave stuff overnight. Yes. And wait for something to happen overnight, or wait for a month or something like that. And it'd be like, "Yes, we tried that, but we didn't achieve it. And this is the reason why we didn't achieve it, or we struggled with this. So if you're doing something, let me know." Yeah. So I go through a couple of things. If it works out, I'll message him saying, "I tried this. This is what I got." And there's one day he messaged me and he goes, "I wish you were in South Africa. You'd be on my team now." Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, beautiful. You know, those sort of things. And really hats off to these guys who are out there. When you ask a question, they don't hold back.
Yes.
They answer your question honestly, truthfully, giving you, even if it's just one breadcrumb to give your journey, it's more than enough sometimes.
I mean, that speaks volumes, because usually people are quite protective about secrets and keeping their work, you know, their ideas and techniques quite undercover. So it sounds like you have this competitive environment, but then also you have people who are established but very open to sharing that knowledge to help others.
I truly agree. And I don't know if this is what I was telling you, is rather than trying to go and put your colleague down, why don't you give him that breadcrumb and send him into a direction that you know will lead him to a path that he might or he might not find. It's his journey. But if you give him that breadcrumb, it's not going to hurt you. He'll just hold you higher in his eyes. And you know, I put up this, we put up this Nikon video, and some of the guys were like, "Are you sure you want to share your buggy?" Because I put my buggy driving across in, and I was like, "Look, you can get a buggy, but it's taken me 2 years of owning this buggy and trying to make it work to what it's achieved now. So we have a camera. Everyone has a camera. But if I show away my camera, it doesn't mean that you'll understand how to use it."
Exactly.
So it's a journey, and it's a journey you have to take yourself. And as I said to you, you know, my journey started where I bought this most expensive, you know, I had the bad cameras, or I had the cheap cameras that didn't do the work for me. I went and bought this super expensive pro camera. And then I sat there saying, pro camera's here, pro lens is here, but where's the result?
Where's the shot?
And that made me work hard. And yeah, you can see everything I do. It's an open book. And I've got my results to show. So it's time for you to work hard as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I think we've talked about your photography a lot. So it'd be good to go through some of your favorite shots, or some of the ones you want to share with us. And for the ones watching the video, they'll see them. But for the ones listening, the links will be in the episode. So yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. I'll do a screen share, pick up my Lightroom catalog, and are you able to see the photos?
Yes, indeed.
Or the photo?
Yes.
And here we go. This is something I captured 2 days ago.
Fresh off the press.
Fresh off the press.
Exclusive.
I've been trying to do some work with flash photography as well, and you know, night skies, and if that gives you a hint of which way I'm trying to work now, here's a thing. But flash with my buggy, I've converted my buggy to pick up a flash as well, and you know, then this is practice at home. Yeah, this is this is my nephew's remote control car. We stuck a light at the back of the car. We picked up this water vapor. We sprayed water vapor all around, and boom, here we go. It was good fun. It was honestly good fun trying to capture it.
The Mad Max reference I made of this one.
Literally Mad Max references. Going through, I mean, I wasn't a great fan of this type of photography, but it's very statemental in the fact of we're trying to coexist with wildlife. We have a city, which is Nairobi city right behind us. We've got the lion in the foreground. We're trying to talk about coexistence, and that's what the hardest thing, but we have to find a way. A lot of my photography, I like to tell stories.
Yes.
And these sort of images are really what I like to talk about. We, as wildlife photographers, we all seem to have gone very, you know, wildlife photography is seen as you must have this big telephoto zoom lens, and it must be zoomed in all the way to get you such sort of photography. But yes. I'm trying to tell stories more than anything else these days. You know, dramatic skies, 2 elephants that look like ants, a nice, beautiful landscape. Yeah.
To put scale
not
on it.
Saying, yeah, exactly, to put a scale on it. You know, not saying that I don't do this sort of stuff, but
so when do you use black and white? Because is that dependent on the scene that you're trying to capture? And
as well. And something like this will be very difficult to put into black and white because of those colors
the
and
tone.
the sky and that sort of stuff. And again, here's something that black and white will be very difficult to talk about. But in color, it tells you the better story. But then when you put something like this into black and white, it just, to be honest with you, every photo, I always go through the black and white before I do a color. I'll try black and white first, and then I'll say, okay, fine, this is better in color. Leave it at color.
You made
Yeah,
a judgment
and-
call because it's kind of
Yeah,
gives you this dramatic. It gives you that dramatic sense of the moment, doesn't it? There's
exactly.
you've got the clouds and the tree and the sort of light breaking through the clouds, and
it tells such a something very similar. You've got one tiny little animal, rain falling, dramatic sky.
yeah,
It's telling a beautiful story that you wouldn't normally see, and this is my sort of favorite low level work. Yeah, stuff I'm working with at the moment and things I enjoy. There used to be a time where I would put out my camera and I would say to guys, or I'd try and design it in such a way that the animal can't reach it.
yes,
But now I put out my camera and I put it in such a way and I say, guys, I've made it to a way I'm comfortable. You guys kick it around, bite it, do what you want. So I'm working with devices where I want elephants to actually kick them around.
interactive art.
Yeah, there's my $4,000 camera being kicked around.
This one, like, it's very close to the elephant and the trunk, and there was another picture I saw, which I think was even closer with the trunk. So these are all remote images then?
Yeah,
Or-
so these are remotely taken. Actually, I have a couple of images. I'm just going to pick up here. I was doing a workshop. I've been launching the D6 for Nikon, so I've had a couple of slideshows prepared recently. But when you talk about closeness, here we go, slow loading, but that's underneath the elephant, literally. Yeah,
Wow.
and he walks over the camera. He just goes over it. Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it's all thanks to a device that I had made a while ago, and it's really, really done amazing for me. I should have a photo of it. Yes, I do. Here it is. That's the device used. So basically, we painted it like a tortoise, so the elephants see it as a tortoise, and they don't go trying to step on it because they never hurt another living being in that sort of respect, unless there's obviously a adrenaline charge.
Yes.
Camera put into literally what is a construction hard hat. Yeah, the cover is a construction hard hat. I don't have the, should I say, the capability to build whatever I can build. So I take the capability to work with what I can.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and
you actually made that yourself, yeah? So this.
Yeah, so literally it's, yeah, so we took the hard hat, we made a metal structure underneath for robustness and security of the camera, and
Yes.
then the cover is a hard hat. I've got another device here which was designed to make to look like a rock.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was designed to look like a rock. I struggled with zebra shots for a couple of years, and then I finally sussed out the formula that I have to make the camera invisible, and
Yes.
it worked. Yeah.
Wow. This is where your engineering skills come in play, I think.
Literally, and this has probably been the most successful one. Yeah, it was simple. It was nothing complicated. I've had elephants kick this. I've had elephants pick it up, taste it, chuck it, kick it around, and I still achieved shots with it.
Wow. So you can't buy these things ready-made then?
No, you can't buy this ready-made. Things you can buy is maybe you can buy parts to assemble something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need to create like an eBay shop or something and start producing.
Surprisingly, there are a few guys who build stuff like this, but for sure they don't build very, by hand stuff like this.
Yeah.
So maybe I can do that, but monetary hasn't been the drive isn't money for me here. The drive is literally passion.
Capture, yeah.
I
Exactly.
was playing around the other day, and we're trying to work with a new device, and here's a selfie. Yeah, from that.
That's amazing. I was going to ask,
Yeah.
so as we're talking about accessories, I know you use the buggy. Do you use drones and other things like that as well, or is that something?
We have some sort of technical complications with law and
Yeah.
drones in Kenya. They are beginning to ease off a bit, or they are beginning to solve. You know, the first thing a government, when they hear drone, they think about, oh my God, here goes other countries coming in to spy on us.
Espionage.
Yeah, and they're not realizing that, wait a minute, we want to use this as a photographic adventure, not as a spy adventure.
Yeah.
But they need to find a way to draw that line and figure out, okay, this is photographic, this is, should I say, spyware or whatever it is.
Yes.
But it's once that journey, or once we get that resolved through the government, then we can use, or we will be using drones in the future. But currently, what I find with drones is they don't have the photographic quality, video quality they have. They're really good at it, but they don't seem to have the detailed photographic quality where I can sort of say, zoom in at 100% and look at that detail. I can pick up every little bit of, oh shit, all my white hair too, yeah? But, but you're not talking about it, yeah, Photoshop it, but this was what I was trying to achieve with that. Yeah. And it's trying to achieve a different perspective, always a different composition.
Yes.
And a shot that I haven't shared yet. Here we go. You know, like a different perspective from the same location, the same device. It's a buffalo. Yeah. Buffalo. Here we go. Yeah, it's a buffalo. Yeah. But not that I haven't achieved this before. I'll scroll down a few hundred. Oh, no, I don't need to go a few hundred. What's it after? Yeah, here we go. So here is another version of, again, going from above. But in this case, it was literally
helicopter then.
Helicopter. This was helicopter.
How do you arrange? Is this quite easy to arrange where you are, a helicopter? Because is it your own private sort of thing you have to arrange, or do you use services?
So it's in this case it's a chartered chopper. We make the arrangements with the owner stroke the pilot, saying, look, I want the doors taken off. Yes. We have I did a trip early last year where we did northern Kenya and back. That was so beautiful. But this location is 20 minutes away from me by chopper, about 3 hours by car. And literally we treat, or we're always discussing with the pilot saying, what's the condition like now? And he'll say, oh, I've just been there. We have a rainy season now. Good. Look at this. Yeah, this is now photography during the rainy season. Yeah. And we'll still go out there. We'll have fun. Normally, this is 40-degree location, usually dry, but the rains have totally changed the landscape. And I'm trying to, rather than rush through everything, pick up a few key shots that I love. You know, this is very sort of velvety brown, white birds.
Yes.
It gives you a very richness feeling to it.
Yeah, you can see the different depths to it.
Yeah, you can see the different depths of everything. Here we've got the arteries of the river, but it's still flooded. We've got a couple of flamingos flying across. These are the shots that make us feel that there's so much more than just us. And what's so amazing about this particular place is I'll pick up this shot, and we had, because of the rainy season, we had the very light, or should I say the bright brown or the yellowish silt coming in with the rains.
Yes.
The water in general in this place is very dark and the reflection of the sky giving it that blue look. So the two waters coming to mix. Yeah. And then the added part of the birds flying over. And look at it. It's, each bird just looks like a little ant. You know what I mean? That's a design shape. Yeah, it's literally flamingos flying over. Yeah, sorry, here we go.
It's capturing the birds flying over the bit where the water is, the color is changing. You know,
Yes.
like
So
there's timing.
yeah,
Isn't it?
literally, it's a build up. You know, you're following the birds and you're saying, okay, I'm going to try and get it. Yeah, and here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
that's the bit no one sees, right? The
Exactly.
pre-shot.
No one sees you.
Get the shot.
You know, I laugh with everybody, and guys say, "But your shots are so amazing." I was like, "Yeah, that's because you can't see the 250,000 bad shots. You only see the 100 great shots." Yeah. And we were really, really lucky in this day, and we were able to pick up these wildebeest and animals running over the water.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
The
I'm
reflection
into black and white. Yeah, exactly, into black and white. It's not something you'd think you'd pick up from a helicopter, but
wow,
it worked out. Yeah. Similarly, I've got, on the same
I guess,
sort of
I guess
scenario.
using the pilot, then I guess he's figured out over time how you like things or want the angles and stuff. So you kind of got to teach them as well, don't you?
Yeah, you've got to work with the pilot, and a lot of times, on a helicopter, because things are moving so fast, you don't really get time to think. It's not like a landscape photo where you're coming out and you're thinking and you're saying, I'm going to wait for the sunlight to be at that spot. Yeah. And if I was up there in a helicopter for 2 hours and not getting a shot, I mean, the cost of that would be crazy as well. Yeah. So you sort of target it saying, okay, look, I want to catch long shadows. So I want to leave, let's target, we want to be there for, anything before 10 o'clock in the morning, because the shadows are really nice at that time. So let's go out and let's go have fun. And, you'd see some animals, you don't know if it's going to work. And all you say to the helicopter, I've got some zebras on 9 o'clock. Can we get to the zebras? And he'll just boop. The funniest part was on this particular trip, because the rains were so heavy during the season, we didn't know what to expect. And I was traveling across to the helipad with one of my friends who asked me the question in the vehicle saying, Guch, what happens if the engine fails? And I was like, I knew this pilot from the army, and he was explaining it to us one day, because everyone has the perception that helicopters are dangerous, you know what I mean? And so this guy came across with the same sort of perception, saying, look, I know everyone feels that helicopters are super dangerous, but if your engine fails while you're in air, what you do is you turn the wings or you turn the blades around, and you use the weight of the helicopter to get spin on the blades. And as you come close to the ground, you turn the blades around, use that momentum or that inertia from the blades, turn them around just to give you that little bit of a softer crash. Yeah. So I explained that to him, and I was like, look, if you we will ask the pilot when we get there. And he did ask the pilot. Okay. We crossed over, we have this large, with these really big hills we call the Gong Hills, which separate Nairobi from this place. So as the pilot sort of flew over the Gong Hills, and we got to the highest altitude of our trip, and he needed to drop it down, and he sort of goes, you're asking me what happens when the chopper's blades fail, or a chopper's engine fails, and switches off the engine. And that feeling of your stomach's now in your mouth. You're lost for words. I'm normally not uncomfortable in the chopper, and I was grabbing everything I could grab on the chopper, and we were just, when you watch those war movies and there's a helicopter coming to crash, that sound, that whine that you get, literally that's the whine you could hear. Wow. Yeah, and the chopper just sort of falls, and he goes, and then after a few seconds, it becomes normal. So then he was like, look, and he went on to obviously on the microphone system, and he goes, all right, we're still falling, but the only thing you can't feel anything anymore, because your body is now in momentum, and all you can see is the altimeter just spinning because we're dropping. Yes. And then he goes, now this is what I would do if I was very close to the ground. And then he turned the blades around, and he says, the only thing you'll notice sitting in here now is that the altimeter will not go as fast. It'll just, the droppage, or should I say the momentum or the speed of the altimeter will just drop. Yes. And literally the speed just dropped, and he goes, that's what we would do. And now I'm going back onto engines. And he switched on the engine, and he walked across. At that moment, I didn't say anything.
Yes.
When we finished the trip, I went back to the office, and the other photographer was traveling to Amsterdam because he was going to do a talk in Amsterdam. And
Okay.
he messaged me saying, "Guch, I've reached safe. Have you, Federico, here are the photos. Have you seen your photos?" And he goes, "I haven't seen my photos." So I shared a few with me, and I sort of said, "Which teet, 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 whose idea was it to ask the pilot what happens when the engine fails?" And he goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect him to do that."
I guess it's like you've experienced something that hardly anybody would experience in a helicopter anyway. There's another level of sort of another threshold of fear that you've conquered, I guess.
Honestly, it really, really was. And I'm working with a conservation project at the moment, and these guys are trying to raise money for African parks. And, COVID has been a big hit to the whole sort of tourism industry, which was the industry that brings the money in. And I've donated an image to them, and now I've donated a second image, so it should be coming up soon. But I just wanted to share the image, which should be somewhere around here. Excuse me for putting you through all my mess of.
It's not a mess.
Yeah.
It's the reflection of all of your work that we probably wouldn't otherwise get to see, really.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think I've lost the shot myself. It was somewhere sort of here, but I can't work it out now. Yeah, and this is another one of while I'm trying to make myself this is a shot that I really love. We've got Mount Kilimanjaro in the background.
Yeah,
it was a nice story to this, where I'm driving across this road that separates these. This is actually a swamp. It's not really a lake. Okay. And you drive across, and you have the swamp on both sides. And this particular day, the mountain was really clear. And I was looking at that, and I was like, "Oh wow, look how clear that reflection is today."
Yeah, that's
but amazing. I always like to have an extra subject. Just the mountain and the reflection on its own wouldn't complete this shot. It would look nice, but it wouldn't complete the shot. And you can see the first flamingo on the right-hand side completely with its head stuck in. And a group of about 5-6 of them walk past the scene. And I'm looking at that, and I'm driving across, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that looks really good." And I was like, that would make a good photo. And I look at myself again. I was like, "You're the damn photographer here, aren't you?"
Yourself in the back for that one.
Yeah. And I look at the scene again, and I look back, and I see these others coming. And honestly, all I remember is somehow or the other, I stopped the car, I jumped onto the passenger seat, and I took this shot. Wow. Yeah, I could have done so much better if I had more thought or planning behind it. But hey, some things are a wildlife photograph. It's always about the moment. Yeah,
it's there and everything else, and the flamingos and the reflection. It's amazing, perfect.
Yeah, here, found the shot. So this is the shot I've donated.
Yeah, I saw this. I think I shared this on Instagram as well. The initiative.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
So do you want to give the listeners a bit more information about the initiative, what it represents?
It's called Prints for Wildlife, and what they're doing is they've got all the big names, the great names out there, and a lot of upcoming and a lot of new photographers who are willing to be a part of this project. And what they're basically doing is they're saying, normally I would sell my prints for $1,000 or upwards in that direction. Yes. Whereas what they've said is, like, it doesn't matter who the name is, we're going to sell the print for $100. Okay. And 100% of that $100 then goes to charity or goes to African parks and these guys who are looking after the parks in Africa. And basically, from me donating the image, it's you choose, you buy, it gets printed, it gets sent to you, and that money is now being put towards a good cause, or should I say helping parks and animals. And believe it or not, it's been running for 1 week today, and they've raised over $250,000.
Wow, that's impressive.
Very impressive. What an amazing project, and what an amazing project to be a part of.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
definitely. And you said,
Yeah, thanks to them as well.
yeah, you said for you, conservation is very important. So preserving and coexisting, I think it's very important now than ever, really. So yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it didn't start off that. It started off with the smaller picture. It was always about me and my photography.
Yes.
But when you go and you do this for so long, and then you start seeing the destruction and you start seeing the loss that we're having of wildlife, and then you sort of say to yourself, saying, I'm one of those humans that's a part of that destruction. And maybe it's time that I look at this slightly differently and try and do a positive to it rather than just a negative. And I know I can't undo what I've done, but at least from here forward, I can look at the right way of going forward with it. And that's at least what I'm trying to do, is hopefully putting money into causes that work out, or try and figure out where it's going wrong and try and put that right.
Yes.
At least you know, you can't fix that mistake, but you can promise not to make that mistake again. And that's what we at least look forward to.
No, that's brilliant. It's, yeah, like you say, it's about what you can do now and going forward to make a positive change. Cool. I was going to ask you. There was another collaboration almost. This is more about a bit of fashion and your photography coming together. That I wanted to mention as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Cora, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's actually a video which I'll share with you that you can put up when you put this blog up or whatever. And
if you want, if it's not too long, or if you want to share a little snippet of it.
It's I believe, I'm not sure what the length of the video is, but let me have a quick look.
You can just show us.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. It's around a 2.5 minute. Yeah, it's around a 2.5 minute. 2.5 minutes. If you want me to share it, I'm more than happy to do so.
Yeah, you can share like 30 seconds of it if you want. Just we can put the link in the episode if anybody else wants to check it out afterwards.
Yeah, let's go through it. I've got quick time.
We might as well make this episode the most interactive episode ever. Previously, they've all been audio.
Here we go.
Showcasing Kenya's wildlife in the most beautiful and luxurious way, frame it or wear it, is a concept that's painting a new trend. 3 creatives from different backgrounds have come together to convey this vision in their own way. Behind his lens, Gurcharan takes a very artistic approach to his photography, which is what inspired Miyakura through her scarves and Shikazuri through her jewelry to create their exclusive collections. Gurcharan provides a totally unique perspective from which to appreciate Kenya's natural beauty through his phenomenal aerial and ground level photography. Miyakura not only translates these images into frame-worthy paintings, but takes the concept of wearable art in its most literal sense by transforming them into the most gorgeous scarves.
Yeah, just a small preview of what is there. I'll share this video with you. You can put that up as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's just another facet of where your work is sort of, or your hobby, like you say.
The interesting part is that other people see this hobby or see these photos and they get inspired. Yes. And that inspiration puts them to, they come across and they say, hey, Gooch, do you mind? Miyakura has been one of them. She was a classmate of mine from high school and we reconnected thanks to this passion. Then I've got a couple of others. I've got a sketch artist in Canada. I've got a sketch artist in, I believe, Australia as well. And yes. What the guys or what they're doing is, you know, they're sort of so inspired by the photos and they say, any chance we could use one of your photos as a reference photo to a sketch? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Here you go. Yeah. And they're putting up some phenomenal work. And, you know, I'm like, wow, this is better than my photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing work. We had a digital illustrator on a couple of weeks ago. His episode is going to come live in a couple of weeks. But it's amazing what they can do using electronics, you know, like the digital way of the digital artistry is like, it's limitless, isn't it? Because it's all about creativity. Take a concept. So his name was Vic Kent, and he took mogul inspired art, but give it a modern twist. And
Wow.
you know, it's just phenomenal. It's just purely about creativity then. And actually, he was talking about how his art was used to then, for purpose, to drive forward certain undiscussed issues or normalize some of the conversations. And I think like you are almost using your art now to speak for conservation and protecting animals and wildlife and stuff. It just shows you the power you have in what you're creating to create that influence.
It's so amazing, because I have so many guys who come across to me saying, look, Gucci, I've got a conservation project, and I don't want you to just keep taking from me. I want you to be giving back as well. So we want to do a TV serial with the conservation project, but we want you to be part of that TV series as well. And be like, okay, I'm not really, you know what I mean? I don't really think I have the face and all that. He goes, no, we're not. That's not what it's all about. It's about people who are doing the right thing, people who are trying to do good things. And I've got a few projects, I think about 3 or 4 of those sort of projects in the pipeline.
Yes.
Will they ever see the light of day? I'm not sure, but I do hope for the fact that we can raise a voice for all these animals, because without this, I'm nothing. Yeah, without these animals, without these landscapes, not only am I nothing because I'm a photographer, but I believe this is the bigger formula in this earth rotating. And if we lose a part of this formula, and what happens to this beautiful earth of ours, and that's what we need to learn how to maintain.
Exactly. There's a natural cycle that exists. There's a balance. And the more we tip it towards concrete jungles, you know, that didn't exist in the past, we get rid of the real jungles and sort of environments that need to be preserved.
And honestly, if you guys, I know for everyone who's in the UK, it's a concrete jungle no matter which way you go. There is a part of nature, but nature has been blended so well into the concrete jungle. Come into Masai Mara come in for a week, and for 1 week you won't see a paved road. The power you get is either going to be, should I say, moon out there, or a fire, or a generator doing the work for you.
Yes.
And you know, there's places inside the Mara that there isn't mobile signal that's available. So you know, come and put all those things away from you, and then try and see if you can run your life without your iPad and your mobile phone and, you know, some internet and things like that. And when you go there and you start living without this stuff, yes, it does. When you come back into the real world, you feel that, oh shit, I didn't deal with this email. But I'll be honest with you, when you're there in that position, enjoying that freedom of nature, there's nothing more beautiful. Yeah. And I've been to a couple of lodges. They have what they call a star bed. So rather than sleeping in a room, they have a mosquito net you sleep under on a nice bed, but it's open. And you lie down and it's dark, and all you can see is the stars above you at night. And it's so beautiful. It really is so beautiful. That's an experience everybody should have once in their life.
Wow. I'm sold.
Is this where I say I've got a company that does safaris? Yeah, no, I don't know.
yeah. Here's a discount code. So one of the questions I wanted to ask was, some of this photography happens remotely, but a lot of it's quite close and personal to the animals. So you must have put yourself in quite a lot of dangerous situations, or a situation where things could be.
Lips are sealed. Yeah.
I was going to say, what are some of those situations been that you can share with us?
Okay, the first one I have to be very cautious about is when I put myself into a very dangerous situation, I'm putting the animal into an equally dangerous situation. Because, okay, let's say tomorrow I put myself in a dangerous situation, this lion attacks me and it kills me. What is the first consequence that's going to happen? I might go as a guy who loved and died doing what he loves best. But what are the consequences for that lion?
Yes.
Instantly, it's become a man-eater or a man-killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when that happens, the only thing that the human race would like to do to that animal is, we need to shoot it down. It knows how to kill. It's had the taste of blood. It needs to go. Yeah. So whilst I have done things in the past that I'm not very proud of, and they're very adrenaline, there's a big adrenaline punch to go with it. The way I like to do it now is use a device. If I lose the camera, no one's going to call it a camera killer. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's okay, the camera. Yeah, you have a good shot for it, you know, and you go with it, oh, wow, look what I got. But I'm going to try and put this in a way where I want to make sure that, one, the animal doesn't get injured. Two, I don't put the animal into a position where we are risking the animal's life in any way whatsoever. And then I'm trying my best to get the most out of it. The worst I've done, or these days, or if I'm trying to scare, I try not to scare the animals. The worst that I've done to scare an animal is maybe the shutter speed sound, the shutter sound. You know, the mechanical shutter going. Yeah. Now I've got these new mirrorless cameras, which don't have that mirror noise. Yes. They have a little electronic click, click. And the animals don't seem to mind that all. It does create interest. They do come and have a look, saying, what's this thing giving this sound out? So they come with interest, they look at it. It's not, I don't feel, even, you know, with the shutter speed sound as well, it might be a very minimal, you know, you're trying to pick up something that lasts about a second. You know, there might be a reaction to, whoa, what was that? Oh, just this camera, what is it? You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting out of it. And I'm not, you know, if I'm here, or should I say, the ethos isn't about injuring or being, it doesn't matter what we have to get that shot. No, the ethos is about, let's be clever. Let's find a way to get something unique, something different. Let's find a way to break the balance by not breaking, should I say, the humanity balance. Yeah,
that's such a brilliant view. I mean, I never thought of it that way. But yeah, the consequences for the animals, you know, there's much more consequences for them. And then you being conscious, and I can imagine is that quite difficult to convince others to not do that and see that bigger picture? Because some people may be more focused around getting the shot and probably just starting their journey as an amateur and trying to establish themselves, and may not have the remote kit as such. Is that a bit of a difficulty having that conversation or putting that in perspective?
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, if things go wrong, you're going to pay for it with your life. So it's not a hard conversation to have. You know, it's simple as you go out there and play with a lion. If it gets pissed off, it's coming for you.
Yeah.
But they also care for their life, and they also understand. We have this view that maybe a lion and all, you know, a lion is a designed killing machine, literally, but it's also a smart killing machine. It's not going to, the first thing that pisses it off, it's not going to go straight shouting, blaring guns at it. It's also going to take a step back and think about it before it does something. Yes. And yeah, you know, I learned this because we have game rangers who walk around on foot within national parks. And while I was watching that happening one day, we were sitting with a couple of lions. The lion got up and ran off, and we're thinking, what did I say? And, you know, because we were looking in the wrong direction, from behind us came a couple of game rangers. And we looked and you know, it happened the first time, it happened the second time, and you get the formula, you understand it. And next time now we see a ranger walking towards us, we're like, whoa, I'll come to you. You don't chase the lion away, I'm coming to you. Let's talk there. We don't want you to chase the lion because I'm here trying to photograph this lion. Yes. And then I went into a conservancy where you are allowed to leave the vehicle. And I tried it. So a couple of lions, I stepped out of the vehicle, and what do? They get up and run off. Yeah, but it's not a game you play with a mom and its young cubs, because it'll go into protection mode. Yeah. And that's where you're really now asking for trouble. I read a book, and I've forgotten the writer's name, but it's like, Whatever You Do, Don't Run was the name of the book. It was a game ranger who had written about his life as a game ranger and the situations he had come across. And literally that's the case. If you ever do find yourself in a situation where you're now being attacked by an animal, whatever you do, don't run. Just hold your place, maybe not like a black rhino charging towards you.
Yeah.
Don't just hold your place. Yeah. Try and find somewhere safe. But, something smart like an elephant, you hold your place. But whilst all that is coming together, there is a code, and not a code, but you have to read for a couple of signals.
Yes.
And this book explained those signals to you, saying, like, for example, if there's a lion running towards you as a charge, if the lion is dilly-dallying and it's coming zigzag towards you, it's a mock charge. But if that lion is coming straight onto you, I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, that's probably be your last day. Yeah.
It'd be good to know what that book is actually.
Yeah. And the more time you spend with them, the more you get to understand this. And once you get to understand this, I honestly tell you, when you start understanding what they're doing, it's such a beautiful place to be. It really is. I know you've got a little boy. I believe I've had a look at your Instagram, and you've got a little boy. Yeah? And when your little boy was born, and maybe your mom came around and she was there, and she was like, Dick, he's saying this now. Oh, look, he's saying this now. And he doesn't say a word, and you look at it, you say, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's honestly true. You can look at an animal and you can say, okay, this, it's that stage where you look at it and you say, okay, I believe this guy's intentions are this.
Yes.
And if you give it a few minutes, he's going to do this.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you feel that you've achieved.
Yeah. Like instinct, isn't it?
Exactly. You're able to read something that you can't talk to, and that's so beautiful.
Wow, that's really good. So I guess when you're on the helicopter, I guess that is a risk anyway. But yeah, it's you're capturing then not necessarily animals. You're capturing animals in the wild compared to what you do in the national park.
Yeah. So they're all still wild animals. While I'm talking to you, I'll go through and I'll show you some other sort of helicopter shots that don't really pick up animals. Yeah, and I'll just pick up my helicopter folder. Yeah. And trees, landscapes, all that. So, my mistake. I'll have to go back into that folder one second. It's the thing with the aerial photography is that no matter how amazing the landscape is, from a helicopter, it's just flat. You're so high up, you're just seeing flat. Maybe if you see some major mountains, then maybe you could say that, okay, fine, here we go, and I'm looking at some sort of interesting landscape. I'm gonna move across to the screen share and pick up the Lightroom catalog again. Here we go. And okay, yes, wildlife is a major part, but I've got some tree shots somewhere here. And here, look at this. This is within Amboseli National Park, and I know the photos got much, or hasn't got that wow factor behind it. It's got a different viewpoint for sure. But what I soon realized is that this swamp or this river has got everything to do with the livelihood of this national park. And this is the reason why this national park really exists. And this is not a tree, this is water, this is a river. Or it's, you know what I mean? It's in the rainy season, the river has gone through and it's made all these arteries, and it's a photo of that. Yeah.
Wow.
There's one I picked up and I used as a Valentine's Day post, and it was from Masai Mara, this trip. Yes, here it is. Yeah. So the fire is burning off, but it's left a little heart-shaped patch of grass behind. Yeah. Yeah. So just trying to give all sorts of different perspectives, different views. Yeah, and here we are ready to take off. We had these Maasai coming in to fuel us, so we could go and have a fill up and fly off again.
Yes.
This is a shot by my son, believe it or not.
Wow.
So I thought it was my shot. It's only until we realized that the camera I was using and the camera this was taken was 1 or 2 seconds apart. And I was like, I couldn't have taken these shots together. Yeah. Whereas my shot was this, and there has been a scarf from both these shots. Yeah.
I saw that in the video. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is he into? Is he taking footsteps in his dad's hobbies?
Yeah, he's not really. It's a boring thing at the moment. I'd rather sit on my iPad and play. But I'm sure it's getting there sooner
Meanwhile,
or
he takes
later.
these amazing shots, and he's like, "Yeah, this is just one of my things."
Yeah, here's one of my favorites. I know it still has the ethos of animals in it, but
Yeah.
the green stuff in it is the algae the birds come to eat.
Ah,
And that's what the green is. This is what the flamingos come to eat. And because of that little island and the algae being moved by the water, and this is where I was showing you that the water is always dark, but the silt was brought in by the rain.
yes.
And it makes these amazing shapes and lines, and it looks like something from outer space, honestly. Yeah. It really looks like something from outer space, and there's more of that sort of stuff, but this time with flamingos involved. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then, every season I'll just hop off here. I'll go and pick up another part of aerial photography and come back to it. As much as what I wanted to say is, every season has its own different uniqueness and beauties that go with it. And, you just work with it, and you just constantly. So that was the wet season. And let me try and see if I can find you some dry season photos, and you'll have a look and say, totally, the big groups of flamingos aren't there anymore. Yeah. Okay.
Almost you've got to then research and find out what's changed, where the animals are migrating and why.
Yeah,
that's the depth.
That's a big part of always having your ear on the ground. If you know what I mean, you're constantly there, just trying to listen, trying to work out. Okay, this season is good. This season is okay. This season is meh. You know what I mean? You're constantly trying to listen, and you're constantly being told, or you've constantly got your pilot on speed dial saying, "Hey, come on, how's it looking? Have you flown over Magadi lately? What's going on? How's it looking out there?" And then he'll be like, "It's okay," or "It's not okay," or you know what I mean? Yeah. Here we go. Just getting to it. Yes, here we are. Okay, share screen. This is in the dry season. We've got a little bit of water left. The red color. It actually looks like a wildebeest with the horns and the face.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just, you know what I mean? You're up there. You're just trying to, talking about shadows, trying to find, and you can see the giraffe standing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then our trip to, oh wait, here's look, this looks like Mars, or something that we're believed to make it look like Mars. Yeah.
Looks like another planet.
Yeah, just another planet. And these white dots are where you've got the flamingo nest. When the flamingos come to nest, this is what they use.
Okay.
Yeah. Helicopter. Here we go. Yeah. This is very, very northern Kenya. You can't drive here or anything, and it's all done by chopper. We went into these beautiful sand dunes. Yeah, it was such amazing.
Wow.
We even stopped up. Yeah, I call myself predominantly a wildlife photographer, and I have these landscape photos that I'm sitting on, and I've never ever posted just because it kind of falls off topic.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the helicopter. You can just kind of, I guess, if it's safe, just stop in certain places and check them out.
Exactly, and here's a pool of look at the amount of crocs in there.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be falling into that
Yeah,
path.
exactly.
Yeah.
Lunch for them.
And here's another shot that I love.
That
Yeah,
one's
and
good.
yeah, and this is Lake Turkana, probably one of the biggest freshwater lakes. So I think one of the biggest, second biggest in the world, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, and what happens is when the water starts drying out, this little volcanic formation begins to hold water in different quantities.
Okay.
And then the different quantities of water then sort of start picking up different colors. And look at this. So you've got a lighter green and a dark green because the algae content is different in each one of them. And
Yes.
it's so beautiful. We went and stayed at a little camp. You know, it was a little 8-bedroom camp in the middle of nowhere. These guys, I don't think they like people. They like to be so far away, sort of thing. But they have to find an income, and and the place was littered with scorpions. And we'd had, you know, I went out to go and photograph the chopper with the Milky Way at night because it was something I always wanted to do.
Yes.
And the guys, so I explained it to the lodge guys. I was like, look, even when we were coming to land the chopper, I've got an app which is called Photo Pills.
Okay.
And the app can work out where the Milky Way's correct direction is going to be and where, what's the word I'm looking for, which way the Milky Way is going to be, which way it's going to travel,
Yes.
where the moon will be, where the sun will be. You can work out all this from the app. So I knew the general direction, and I told the pilot, like, look, the Milky Way is going to be in this direction. So rather than us trying to move the chopper at night, I want you to chop. When you come to land the chopper, I want the nose to be at 130 degrees.
Okay.
So I explained it to him, and he goes, okay, fine, whatever you want, Gooch. So normally they cover up the chopper, so the cabin is covered in. So at night, nothing can go and sit in, or nothing has the potential to damage the cabin.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the controls of the chopper are. So this night I was like, look, I want to come and photograph, and I don't really want that cover on the chopper. And he's like, okay, fine, Gooch, we're in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
And I came out, and I obviously with the pilot we'd set up, we'd landed the chopper in the right bearing, we put it down, we went. It was so hot, it was like 45 degrees there. We went and we chilled in the pool all afternoon. Yeah. And at night, you know, I was talking to, we started talking about it over dinner, and I was like, guys, this is what I want to do. And it's a husband and wife who run the lodge.
Okay.
And they stopped and they said, Gooch, if you want to do that, I need to take you for a little bit of a walk. And I was like, okay, sure. And she goes, I'll be right back with a couple of torches in 2 minutes. So she comes back with these UV torches, and she goes, all right, Gooch, we're going for a walk now. And as we were walking down, initially we couldn't find anything, but then we got to this place where the ground was just lit up with this stuff.
Wow.
Because the UV torch gives them this very green, blue color, and you switch off the UV torch and you put on the normal torch, and you still can't find the scorpion.
Can't see the scorpion.
It just blends into the ground so well that you could be walking around there and you wouldn't see it. And then you switch off the normal torch and flick on the UV torch, and boom, there's this crazy scorpion.
Wow.
And she goes, you need to watch out for this as you're walking around. So here's this torch, you need to take this. Also, by the way, we've got a resident leopard, be careful. And honestly, I got to the chopper, I photographed the chopper. I was there for about 2 hours photographing the chopper from this side and that side and trying to do this with it. And I could hear a few calls. I didn't realize what it is at that time. It was just a whoop every so often.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got into the bedroom and I zipped up, this, you know, it was like the leopard was finally given its space, and it roared and it roared, and I was like, damn it, was it just waiting for me? It obviously was watching me all the way through. Yeah. And it just roared and roared, and you know, and then in the morning everyone was like, did you guys hear the leopard? And I was like, yeah. As soon as I got into my bedroom,
That could have been his dinner.
Literally, it literally could have been. And you know, on looking at this landscape, I love this because when the birds were flying off, they were leaving like you had this covering on top of the water. You had this silt or black silt underneath on the ground. So every time something would walk, it'd leave these lines and It
Yeah,
leaves
yeah,
these
like the Prince, yeah.
beautiful, it leaves these beautiful shapes.
Wow.
And yeah, it would really leave these amazing shapes or lines behind as a bird. So these are two flamingos walking across. I put this shot up. It kind of looked like they're heat-seeking missiles trying to get the helicopter.
That is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and such beautiful zigzag shapes as they were walking across. It really. I was trying to see if I could get them to draw a heart or something, but it didn't work.
Could have been another project, that one.
Yeah. Is this where I have to put a drone and a carrot and make it go
Yeah,
around?
exactly. You're gonna have to give them some sort of incentive to do it. It's almost
Yeah.
like the opposite of what aeroplanes make in the sky, isn't it? But like they
Yeah.
do in water with the silt.
And I've done this sort of photography with a balloon, going up on a hot air balloon, but you're limited to, it's only going to fly in that one direction. And if an animal comes, it's fine. But with a helicopter, you can say, hey, I've just seen some lions. Go back. Yeah, and you'd go back. And one of my first experiences, we did that. It's like, hey, there's a couple of lions, and Peter, I've just spotted a couple of lions. And he's like, yeah, fine, no problem. And we just went, that was my first trip. And I was like, okay, I'm disorientated now, but let me just try.
That is phenomenal. I mean, it just shows you that, your passion is wildlife photography, but in that passion, you capture, the stars, the Milky Way, the architect, the sand dunes and all sorts of rock formations, and not even that, just capturing the movement of nature, nesting for the flamingos and all these sorts of. So there's so much depth in there. So I mean, is this showcased anywhere else, or are you going to try to go for some different types of awards or showcase exhibitions, or what's the kind of the future looking for you and your work then?
It's, talking about awards, yeah, it is a very, very tough, there's a lot of competition out there without doubt, but I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I want to be the best. I'm here on my journey, enjoying myself. Exposure for sure would be amazing. But even if I don't have the exposure, it's still fun. It's still something that I love, and I'm doing for the factor that I love it. Yes. Yeah. I tend not to enter into many awards. I have been entering a few here and there, just to sort of think, a lot of guys who are trying to get into awards is because maybe one of the guys, once he wins, he wants to showcase himself as a award-winning guide because he's a great photographer. He's got a business background that is running this. I want to get an award. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he's built a business from it. With all due respect, amazing stuff. Well done, guys. I'm kind of one of those guys who doesn't really have a direction and is just doing what he enjoys in the best of ways. You know what I mean? Yeah. Today, if one guy comes in and says, Guch, I've heard of, let's go and do some sort of night photography with steel wool. Have you ever seen that sort of photography?
No.
So I'll hop on with him and I'll say, yeah, come, let's go and do it. I don't mind. And we'll go and play around with some night photography. We'll go and do some astro at the same time. We'll go and take some steel wool and mess around with this steel wool. I'm trying to go through one of the shots if I can find it. Like how you do the fireworks and you draw the lines and then you get these lines, like light painting. It's very similar to that light painting format. And we just went out, we had fun, we played around with it. I'm hoping I can pick it up on one of my albums. Yeah. But the bigger factor for me is, I say, maybe you could say, is a guy who's got no direction. And I'm honestly true about it because I'm just out there. I'm going there to have fun. And within the fun, if something wow happens, amazing. If something wow doesn't happen, so be it. I've had my fun. Yeah.
I think that's probably the secret to the freedom, actually, isn't it? Because you're not bound by expectations, rules. So you set them yourself, really.
Yeah, exactly. You set them yourself. I'm struggling to find those photos. Maybe I'll send them to you later so we can share them up on your blog or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So
would you ever do much video at all then? Was that something you probably think of doing or not? Just take
Uh,
the photos.
I think with 5G networks coming up, maybe video is going to be the next way. I'm sure you'll never run out of having a photo. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people love to have prints in their house and things like that. So maybe a photo will never outdate itself in some sort of format. But
Yes.
I believe maybe video is the future of
Mm.
this direction, being, you know, of content creation. Internet speeds have become so much more amazing these days, and um, watching, you know, it's very quick to now put up a video and watch the video at the same time in comparison to photos or something like that. But you know, putting together a video is so much more hard work than putting one photo up.
Yeah.
And I feel for you because I've watched the guys who who build all my videos, and I sit with them and I'll be like, yeah, I'd like to have this thing, something like this. And then you see the amount of effort that goes into it, and you tell the guy saying, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this is how long it takes or something. But the two guys I work with quite a lot, they're like brothers to me. It's Mani and Karan, yeah, Mani Singh and Karan. And the two of them, you know, I'll come up with an idea and I was like, guys, I've got this idea and I want to go up and I want to climb Mount Kenya because I want to take a photo with the peaks and the stars.
Yes.
And they'll always be like, oh, wow, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go do it. Yeah. And then I'll be like, oh, guys, I want to do this. And sometimes you'll hear a Mac, forget that. Gooch is not going to work. Yeah. But they're the ones who keep me on the straight and narrow in one way or the other. Yeah. But, you know, sometimes I'll pass my ideas to them. And yesterday I had Karan over last night, and literally we were trying to do some work with flash photography, and I've got all the flashes still sitting on my desk because we were just trying to muck around. And I was like, Karan, I'm going on a project and I want to do some work with night stuff. And
Yes.
I was like, look, I know how to use this. I've connected. I do this. I've done that. But why don't you come over? You're a master in flash photography. There's a lot of portraiture as well.
Okay.
And food photography, where a lot of it is done with artificial lighting. And I was like, you're the master in artificial lighting. Why don't you come and give us a few tips? And you know, this is how I can increase the exposure of the flash or reduce the brightness of the flash, and this, that, and the other. And he looked at it and he goes, Guch, I only needed to give you like one or two tips because he already knew what you are, but I don't know how to apply them.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that I can get the application spot on and hopefully get this working for future as well.
Because the whole night photography is a completely different ballgame. Because if you're used to doing daytime, you know when the sun's coming up and the shadows and all that sort of stuff, mechanics, you work with it. But the night one is like, I guess, how do you set the flashes in certain areas to bring things into the picture, out of the picture, and it's like a whole different ballgame.
Honestly, you know, one of my good friends is called Steven Seagal, not the movie actor, but he's got the same name.
Celebrity friend list you got.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, he is a celebrity. He was Mr. South Africa a couple of years ago, and he is probably one of the most amazing content creators I've met in South Africa. And he's one of those sort of busybodies, never stops, always up to something or the other, does a lot of fashion, does a lot of product photography. And he came to Kenya and he was doing a little workshop for Nikon again. And he was like, come on, guys, let's, he would pick up one flash on the camera, one guy holding a flash on one side, another guy holding a flash on the other side, take us out in the day and give us a shot that looked like it was taken at night. And you know, how did you do that, Steve? You know what I mean? Yeah. And he has been a big inspiration. He was the curator of a photo expo in South Africa. Okay. And in the process of that, and he goes, Guch, I've got this photo expo in South Africa that we're going on with. Would you like to be one of the speakers? Could you come to South Africa and be one of the speakers on the event? And I was like, absolutely done for you, mate. No problem at all. And he goes, we're not going to pay you, but we're going to cover all your expenses. So you wouldn't be out of pocket. And I was like, done deal. I'm happy with that, mate. I don't need to hear any more than that. And that was nice. I got a trip to South Africa out of it. I then went and spent a couple of nights in Cape Town and went and enjoyed the beauty of that sort of landscape. I wanted to do wildlife as well.
Yes.
But I think the reason that my wildlife is or the photography is what it is in this side is because of the amount of effort, planning, and prep that I'm doing. And when I go to a new place, I go and do that. I'll just be like every other amateur or just every other guy on a holiday with a camera and comes back with things that you're like, really? Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can put more effort, more time into it, plan out a trip. Dream locations for me are definitely Namibia, Botswana as well. Those are things that places I've always wanted to go. And maybe one day I will. And when I do, I'll make sure I'm fully prepared, researched, extra effort done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, one of the part of the podcast is always to get the guests to sort of give advice on their learnings. And I think this episode is full of learnings for anybody wanting to even think about photography. But it seems like preparation is one of the most key things, especially in wildlife photography. And whereas, you planning the direction of what the helicopter nose should be landing at to get that Milky Way picture, you know what I mean? And haven't done the research of where the Milky Way is going to be, that's like so much steps in advance that people probably don't even think about when they see the shot. So, how can do you have any tips for how people can become more prepared or start to think about these things more?
You know what? The way or how it's gone for me is put your head down, stop getting involved with all sorts of nonsense out there. There's so many ways there's so many things to lose your direction. Don't lose your direction. Come in, focus on something. The biggest one that I always have felt and is against is drugs and alcohol. And I've seen so many young guys lose their lives in drinking. And whereas all that money that he spent on alcohol could have been spent going into good things. We sat down with a couple of friends of mine and I said, let's do a project where we teach our young boys photography, because that bug, once it bites you, your money will not be spent on drugs and alcohol anymore. Your money will be spent on camera gear, and it's never ending. Trust me, it's never ending. And if we could get young guys to at least get some sort of fulfillment from portraying their art and putting somebody in a positive direction, I'd love. Or we're still trying to pursue that. But again, it's all about something you enjoy. Go out there and do it, but don't stop. Keep doing it. Find another way to make it interesting and do it again. Sometimes we get very quickly bored by something, and then we get diverted into, that TV program was really nice. A big thing for me has been when I moved to Kenya, I stopped watching TV. Sky TV in the UK is amazing, but it does glue you to that sofa. I had Sky TV, Sky Plus HD, and like, wow, what you want to watch when you want to watch. Yeah.
I refuse. I refuse to watch any series. I refuse to watch. I hardly watch any TV anyways. Try to keep busy, but I see a lot of people at work and my friend circle. They're always thinking of what's the next thing we can watch. And it's just the hook. Once you get hooked, and I'm thinking, right, I can watch that, but I can be doing something else to channel my energy, which is going to improve me and others as well. So it's just a different outcome, isn't it? But I get it. People want to have time out. It's like kind of just forgetting everything, isn't it? And sort of immersing yourself in this world, online TV.
Honestly, that is my wildlife photography. I'll be at work, I'll come back home in the evening and I'll have dinner. I might sit down for half an hour, but the next thing is I've got those photos that I need to look at, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but let me try and see what I can do with it. And it's my biggest driving force. I'll be sitting on the computer, and to be honest with you, I have put some, if I start putting the hours I've done towards editing and working on the photos and going out there and taking photos, it must be another lifetime already. But it's the factor that I cut TV out is that it made me pursue this. So I don't know, my best way of giving inspiration is by go look at the photos. If they inspire you, go there and do something about it. And if you want to do something about it and you're stuck somewhere, I'm here, contact me. I'll definitely give you more direction. I wouldn't just sort of shrug you off unless, I get all these guys calling me saying, I love wildlife photography. Yes, you do. Well done. But I don't have a camera. Can you sponsor a camera? Sorry, mate, I can't sponsor you that. That is something you'll have to do for yourself. Get yourself a job, find some way that you're going to earn money, because you're not going to, even if you do get a camera, you're not going to earn money straight. It's not like to make an investment and it's going to give you dividends straight away. You are going to have to spend so much time, invest so much time into this to get to where photos are either sellable or people want you to come and photograph their weddings. It's not going to be pick up a camera and tomorrow we're running. You have to invest time in it. So you need a secondary income, first of all, or should I say a primary income to make this secondary one working before you flip the two over. So
that's definitely, I think we
have to keep chugging.
I was having another podcast yesterday with an occupational psychologist, and we were talking about mentoring and coaching, and reaching out to mentors was one of the discussions. And one of the things that came out of that conversation was mentoring is typically volunteer. You need to know how to ask somebody to mentor you, because they're going to be somebody that has the knowledge, is busy as well, but then they're probably getting thousands of these requests anyway. But you got to understand, you got to get across your message of why, what's your passion, and that you're serious about this. But also, actually, there was another important point that Haley Lewis made, was that, what you've got to offer them as well. Like, there is something that you may be able to offer them as well. Like, we had an example where maybe it's somebody who wants to be a CEO of an organization, and they're early in their stage, but they want to get a mentor. But that CEO doesn't know how to use digital social media, but So then there's suddenly something on the table, then that relationship can nurture itself. But people forget, it's just give, like, buy me the camera or teach me how to do this. But how can that be reciprocated? Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Sharing.
Wow, honestly, you've hit a nail on the head there. That is so well said for all these young guys out there. It's always, I feel that it's always give, and it's literally nothing's coming back. But I don't do it in respect that I want something back, but I totally get you here. And, what a beautiful idea, saying, hey, I'm good at this, but you're good at that. So why don't can I help you with that? Or can I help you with something? You know what I mean? What a beautiful idea. And this guys I've made stuff for, and I was like, here, this is a box. Why don't you go and try it out? The reciprocation I get back from that is absolutely zero. But that's not the reason I do it. I do it for the fact that I do it. But, sometimes just a little bit of appreciation is beautiful. Or another thing I find with the young guys is that, or the reason why I don't do mentoring and I moved into workshops is, when these guys come across, they come across with only asking you what they want to know at that time. None of them have sat back and tried something hard enough to solve the problem, or come back with you, said, look, I've tried this, I'm stuck with it, I've tried this and I've tried this. Because then you feel that, giving this guy some sort of response to this is going to be value for him. And it'll teach him something. Whereas, a guy will just come back saying, oh, I've been trying to work with my camera and I can't get a straight shot. And you're thinking, okay, what have you tried to it? Oh, I'm not sure. There's that thing and there's this thing. I'm like, have you read about anything? Have you read about ISO? Have you read about shutter speed? Have you read about it? And, normally the answer you get is a blank look. And, I'll get a message from somebody, where can I buy cleaning equipment in Kenya? Honestly, can you not get Google, and can you not check something like that?
I don't know if you remember. I mean, I grew up looking at, researching. You had to go into a library. You had to physically go there. You had to pick up an encyclopedia, a book, which is probably already out of date anyway, and somebody's ripped out the pages. But it's hard work trying to get that data. But now you don't even have to look. You can just say, hey, Google, do this for me, and it will just be there on your phone straight away. But
research is so simple these days. Everything is at your fingertips. And I'm with you. If I needed to learn about photography, first of all, trying to get hold of a camera was the hardest part. If I found the camera, who would teach me?
Yeah.
Or how would I do it? And then you had to go and get the films washed. Yeah? And then, you've spent so much money to only realize that you made a mistake and they came out all black.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And this is what the guest was telling me, that, we've got that ethic, that work ethic to put in the work if you've got to do it. And it's that growth mindset, almost not wanting to give up and try everything. It's a bit of stubbornness, actually saying, right, let me see if I can do this. And then being humble enough after that stubbornness, you've seen through it. And then you're at a place where you can at least say, I was tempted this, and here's what I've got to. And people are like, yeah, that's good, because you're not going to waste my time asking me basic stuff. You're going to ask me the thing that you need to just move over that bump, over that barrier, to then carry on again that journey.
And I think that is so much more fulfilling, whereas the guy sitting there just trying to fill you up with these questions that go nowhere. Whereas you have, when someone comes asking you questions, I think you instantly get that feeling that this guy knows or this guy is really working and he's struggling, or this guy doesn't want to work and is asking me a question the shortcut way. Yeah, it very quickly comes across through. It might not come across through in words, but that feeling very quickly comes across. And you sit there and you say, now, do I need to help this guy, or do I let this guy work a bit harder?
Yes.
Some guys, a lot of times I've taken people in for workshops into the park, and we'll do one workshop. I'll go through everything. They'll try. You go to the second workshop and you ask them the same question. So what did you learn? Or so what have you applied? And you really get a very blank answer, and you say, oh, I didn't get time to do this and I didn't get time to do that. So I might do the second workshop because you're stuck with me now. But when it comes to a third workshop, it's not happening. That's because there's this factor. I cannot see you putting in the effort. I can't see you. I'm not here to put the effort for you. I have done that in the past. I'll say, give me your shot. I'll do the edit and I'll pass it across. No, don't do it like this. Let me show you. Do it like this. But then I found out that the loser is me, not in the sense that you're winning or not, but I think you're not putting in the effort. You're not putting in your mindset. You're not putting in what you need to create your art. You've just become a copy of my art. That's what's happening.
And they'll become dependent on you as well.
Exactly. It becomes very dependent. And then when you're trying to cut that umbilical cord, it's painful. It's really painful.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we learn the painful way. But I think it's like to be, there's a phrase, and I think it's about being cruel, but you got to be cruel to be kind, but in a manner that you're helping other people grow. And they may not see that. They may think you're being horrible or not so good, but it's for their own benefit, We've
been in that age where we used to get slapped around by our parents. It's better to be cruel to be kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like, so what? Deal with it. This is your problem.
Yeah.
Get on with it. That mindset. Like,
And I see a lot of parents putting everything on the table for the kids, and I understand that it's love and you do everything for this life that you've brought onto the planet, but you have to make them do some things themselves for them to work it out. But not in the sense that forget you, deal with it yourself. In the fact that, what are you doing? Let me have a look. That's not how you hold a drill. Hold the drill like this. Just be careful. Come on, let's do one hole, and then I want you to do the rest yourself. Yeah. Hold it like this. Do it like this. Here you go. Now I'm going to leave you for a while. If you get stuck, I'm sitting inside. Come and help. Come and ask for help, and I'll come and help you. But I think the problem is, even though you know exactly where the problem is, you say, I think the problem is there, but check this and check that. But, just to get them to understand that, there is something you have to do. And that when you learn that yourself, it'll be the most fulfilling, and you feel your achievement. And that's what I think gives you that drive to want to do more as well.
And that's, there's an important thing being a parent now, actually, is like, what I realize is if I want my son to understand the lessons that I've learned, I need to allow him to learn the lessons himself, not expect that thing I just tell him he'll get it, but he's got to
Yeah.
experience those same problems, you know, in some
He
shape or
needs he
form.
needs to fall and get hurt to understand it. Yeah, he needs
You know,
to
it
fall
has to
and
take
get
the
hurt
same
for
similar
sure.
journey. It'll be probably in a different
Yeah.
time, different location, different scenario, but the lessons have to be there to allow him to be independent and grow and do things. So yeah, I think it's very important. There's one of the things looks like the photography sector looks to be primarily male dominated. Do you see many female photographers coming through, or do you think there's still some barriers of entry, or do you think there's a reason for that, or how can that be promoted? Are you seeing people come through on your workshops, like in equal proportions, or is it mainly
Mainly male predominated, for
Okay.
sure. And the funniest part, unfortunately, in the world we live in, if I do end up taking a female photographer, suddenly all the eyes on me. Oh, look, he's taking a woman into the park. Well, I wonder what's going on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's disgusting social culture that we live in.
Okay.
But I'm trying to move away from that sort of thing, saying, look, it doesn't matter. You're a woman. You want to learn. As long as you're willing to learn, you're welcome. But again, you know, if I'm here just trying to put tablespoons, or should I say teaspoons into your mouth, I'm not up for it.
Yeah.
I don't have. I'm here to run my life. I'm working for a living, and I'm doing this as a hobby, and I don't have that time. If you guys want to work hard and go somewhere with it, please do. Yeah. And yes, it is very male dominated. I don't know the reason behind it or haven't looked at it in that sort of detail, but the beautiful part is there's a lot of female photographers out there who are doing such amazing work. And I follow a few of them as well. And you sit there and you look at their work and it's beautiful. And hey, if you're a lady out there and you're looking, there's a lot of lady wildlife photographers out there. And a lot of them even have that motherhood instinct, saying they take over anyone who wants to learn. Come, I'll take you. You know, we've got a photographer here in Kenya, and she's happy to take anybody into any park and say, come with me, I'll teach you. And it's such a beautiful thing to see that, you know, there are still people with hearts out in this world today. Because it's painful, you know, when you teach people and then you get pain rather than pleasure sometimes. But you have to look, you know, if I failed the first time and I'd say, that's it, no more. It's not the right way of looking at it. You failed today, but tomorrow you need to find a way to make it work. So you just, what is evolution? You just slowly make it work how you think it's going to work. Slowly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the word failure is probably really heavy as well. I think we probably need to call them lessons. Whereas, you know, it's happened because of a lesson, but what you're learning out of it, and you improve going forward. And then you graduate from that lesson, and then there's another one, another one. It's constant, isn't it? But you kind of, if you know it's something you really want to do, then it's actually your energy that needs to really promote it. And I think you can find the beauty of the internet now is you can find a community that will encourage you, and you can reach out, get help and advice, and read things, and so much is available at fingertips to create that environment to give you the best chance of, you know, having those opportunities.
Yeah, totally agree. We've got so much around us. I mean, look at this. We're having an interview where we're sitting a few thousand kilometers apart. You know what I mean? We have this technology now where you can sort of come and say, look, could you give me half an hour of your time?
Exactly.
Could you give me an hour of your time, and let's see how I can improve or what I can do. And maybe the reason I can say is my growth might have been so accelerated because I am there every weekend. If something didn't work, I'm out there the next weekend, or I've spent, maybe this is a factor, maybe some guys should consider it. Rather than going there every single day, why don't you go out but leave gaps in between? So go out there, give yourself maybe 2 days, take 5 days, start off with weekends only. Go and practice over the weekends. Where you made a mistake, you spend the whole week thinking about the mistake. You go back out there on the weekend to try and repair that mistake. And once you feel that you've got to a stage where you're not making so many mistakes, then go for a longer week-long trip.
Yeah.
Go for a 2-week-long trip. Yeah. But don't go there for a flat-out trip and not be able to work out where your mistakes are, because all you'll suddenly find is that you've come back with so many mistakes, and now you don't have you've spent all this money, and what do you do about it?
Fatigued, and you get demotivated. I think this is there's a peaks and troughs in creativity as well. I found creating content, I'll be like, try and do something one day, it just doesn't work, and the next time it just happens in one shot or one go.
Yes.
I'll create an amazing video, and then the other time I'll know what I want to do, but I just can't capture it. And then 2 days later I'll use the same footage but create something else with it. But it's just like, you need that thing where your mind is thinking about it subconsciously. And
it's very, very true. Before you go out for a project, spend a lot of time thinking about the project. Go around there looking at what people have achieved. So you've seen what can be done, but you want to do better than that. Yeah, and have that factor of constant, what have I done wrong? But also another nice thing is have people who motivate you, not demotivate you. Yeah. The power of positivity, the power of that positive energy is so big. Yeah. I used to travel with a lot of people in the park, and we came across these ones that the first time, you meet somebody, the first thing you meet, and somebody says to you, "Oh, today I've been so tired, and it was so bad, and trying to get through the gate was such an issue today, and oh, it's muddy." That's negativity coming. That's bad energy. And I'd went, you meet those sort of people, and you kind of sit around, and you get to a point where you say, "Oh, I need to separate myself from this negative energy." Yeah. And then as soon as I did that, what happened? Straight away, leopard sightings, one after the other. So it just shows that even the animals can pick this negative energy off you. You have this positive energy, you have this openness, and everything happens around you.
Your tribe is your vibe, as they say. Use your tribe wisely. I mean, in Sikh we have Sangat, don't we? So your community.
Exactly. I wanted to say that, Sangat. That's so important. Pick
your community wisely, because they can either progress you or take you backwards or keep you at the same place.
Exactly. Yeah. And if your community is the guys who are going out there drinking all the time, you are going to end up as a drinker, and that's where your direction you're taking. But if your community is the guys of photographers who want to move forward and who want to achieve, you will achieve with them. Even if you're not doing that, you're not putting the same amount of effort into it, they'll drag you along somehow. Yeah. That's the way forward.
Brilliant. It's been absolutely amazing. I think we can probably talk for hours and hours and hours. I think
Agreed.
You got so much talent in your photos and your eye and your preparation. And I think for any budding photographers, actually, I think anybody in any career field or passion that they want to do would learn from the principles you apply to your almost professional hobby, I would call it. Which I think,
to be honest with you, it's a learning from project management. Yeah. You have to learn how to, if you get something wrong, how do you make sure it doesn't happen wrong again? And it's being a project manager, learning about project management, it's just simply that. And if you can manage yourself, manage your projects, I'm sure you'll be able to run with
it. We had a project at work, and for whatever reason, we lost quite a few people, and they were project management, IT project managers that we used to work with on projects. So we in finance had to take on a project on our own. So we almost just got all the people together ourselves, and there was somebody working in another team who'd expressed interest because she used to do project management before. And I was like, right, perfect, excellent, come on board. Look, take this burden off my hands because I've got too many things going on. And I would love for somebody to, be that coordinator. And it ran perfectly. That person just brought it all together, pulled people if they were slowing down, brought issues to the forefront, kept it there, and made sure we knew about deadlines and telling people, communicating. It was, and I told her, I said, you know what, regardless of the expertise involved, that was the pinnacle role that made the project a success. Because had we been any uncoordinated, we would have been missing deadlines, causing issues, and all sorts of stuff. So, and this is why I think I emphasize the fact that Sikhi is not just about service and this, but our gurus were project managers as well, but on a massive scale and a micro scale. And we need to start thinking about these qualities, which we take for granted and think is just to do with our jobs and stuff. But, it's not. It's actually every aspect of our success is based on managing these risks and returns and energies and what we want to do and visions, and revisiting these regularly.
totally with you. Totally with you. And I'm 100% in agreement. You know, some of us find it very laborious to go to the Gurdwara, but when you go to the Gurdwara and you go and listen, it takes your mind away from everything. You know, our gurus and the teachings have been, yeah, go and focus on work, but don't come back home and just focus about work, think about work. Come back home and also think about something else. You are a person, you're not a machine. You can't just be doing one job. Yeah. There's so much more to life than just one activity.
Yes.
And you are try to be a nice all-rounded person. Try not to hurt other people when you're working towards something, and always try and find the balance. You know, one day we were playing carom board with a couple of very big scholars and important people, and we're all on this carom board together. And you know, there's one team against the other. So one of the team was like, okay, we have only one left, and these guys have two left.
Yes.
Or the other team has one left, and we have two. What should we do? And one of the guys was like, let's spoil his. He's going to putt just now, and it's going to finish. Let's try and spoil his and put him into a corner. And it went across to the scholar, and the scholar was like, okay, what do you want me to do? You want me to make this guy, yeah, just knock this guy so he comes and he hides in the corner and this guy can't get it in.
Yeah.
And all he did was he aimed really well, took his time, but when it came to playing that carom, he just did a, oops, oh, my finger slipped.
Yeah.
He didn't hurt the opposite team. He didn't hurt his team member. He didn't hurt anybody. And he took it all upon himself that, oh, I made a mistake.
Yes.
And that's what I think we lack these days.
Yeah.
You know, we always find a way to put the other person down by trying to lift ourselves up.
Yeah.
Just take the blame and say, I've done something wrong. How do I make myself better? How do I make sure this mistake doesn't happen again? And let's move upwards. And let's not go trying to knock everyone else down while we're trying to achieve. You know, it's putting in negative energy. Don't bring that negative energy upon yourself.
It's redefining. I mean, I had another guest on, and we were talking about redefining the meaning of success. You know, it's not just about material progression, career progression, and gaining material, living a better life, but the definition of success would be, you know, uplifting society with you. And if you've gained a privilege in life by a better education or, you know, a more successful career, it's that privilege is to then help others without that privilege to sort of gain from you. That's your way of, you know, sharing that gift that you've managed to get, because it's not necessarily because of us, like we spoke before. It's about other people's shoulders that we've been standing on, you know, to get to where we are. And we've got to really appreciate
so beautifully said. So beautifully said. Yeah. That for me is exactly, we get these privileges. Now we've had the privileges. How do we help society and other people also achieve these privileges that we got? And we can see where we've gone forward with that. That's so beautifully said. Well done. Yeah, love that.
So yeah, it's been amazing. Actually, it's been such a learning journey for me, just speaking to you and hearing about your experiences and the noble efforts to protect the animals and the wildlife. It's definitely, I'd ask all the listeners and everybody else to support the initiatives, support your work. Yeah, and it's been a pleasure. I think I'd love to have you on the show again. You know, once you get that big major award, National Geographic
Thank you.
Out, you know.
Thank you very much. I'd love to be with you. I tell you what, it's been more like talking to a friend and opening. It's more like open heart surgery, and it's been beautiful.
I think that's the beauty of it.
You.
Like, we're here to learn from experiences from you and you know, understand life better and help others who are early in their careers and journeys on trying to find their passion. Because there's no one defined way of having, you know, a passion or an idea, or it can be a combination. Like you have, you know, you've got best of both worlds almost, and you've had to take steps yourself to get there. That's the thing, is about ownership and empowerment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the platform of the Sikh Coach podcast is, to bring these things out, but bring it in a very applicable way to everybody so they can relate to it. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll have to keep in touch. So where can people find your work? Where can people buy your prints, and how can people connect to you? What's the best ways?
My social media, I've got a website, gurcharanroopra.com. Facebook, Gurcharan Roopra, Instagram, Gurcharan. With respect to prints, because everything is virtually bespoke, I'll do the print for exactly what fits for your house. You choose the photo, you choose the size. I don't have a standard size, or it's A, B, or C, and that's it. No, it's whatever you want. I'm flexible about it. I haven't got an e-commerce page, so if you like something, drop us a message. We'll set it up and we'll get it done right. Most of my prints are a limited edition of 10 prints. It'll be hand signed, and you'll get it in its original state as much as possible. With respect to framing, I'd rather you do the framing on your side. If you're in Kenya, I can do it here, but trying to put a big frame in DHL isn't the best of things. So I'll get you a nice print, roll it up, and send it across. Yeah, and the ethos is about love. It's about enjoyment. It's about passion. If you don't want to buy a print, you just want to enjoy this stuff on social media, please do be there and do enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
I think we had one of my followers who's a hardcore fan of yours, so they sent me some of the questions to ask you, and yeah, they really love your work, and I think you have an eye for this, and I think if anything, after seeing what your collection you have, there's so much more that you have to share with the world, and I'd only promote that, and don't ever think that some of that work it wouldn't want to be lost and hidden forever, because I think there's just so much that you went through today. I think it was just actually amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll catch up soon. For now,
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you very much. You too. Appreciate it.
All right.